So I've been delighting in a book called The Universal Christ by Richard Rohr. I read it quite a few years ago, but there's a marvelous quote that he opens up with in the very first chapter. And he's talking about an English mystic named Carol Houselander and a spiritual experience that she had while she was on the New York subway. And it lasted for several days, and it's just so inspiring. This one is very Christ-centered. We're talking about the incarnation of Jesus as the Christ. And, as we know in the Vedanta, that all of the incarnations, whether it was Buddha, Rama, Krishna, Chaitanya, and maybe dozens of others that I don't know, who knows, these times that the beloved or that the universe has put all of its purity into a single manifestation for our benefit, for the balance of the experience of life. Anyway, so yes, this one is Jesus, but know that unity of the avatars, that there is really only one avatar. That which came as Jesus is the same as that which came as Buddha, is the same as that which came as Krishna or Ramakrishna or the Divine Mother. All of these pure forms of the divine are the same being with a different play each time, a different circumstance, and a slightly different emphasis in message based on the needs of the time and place, which is why that incarnation happens, according to the Gita anyway. And so we can read this in that universal nature, the universal Christ. All right, let me read this description of this experience to you. It's just fantastic. I was in an underground train, a crowded train, in which all sorts of people jostled together, sitting and strap-holding, workers of every description going home at the end of the day. Well, quite suddenly, I saw with my mind, but as vividly as a wonderful picture, Christ in all of them. But I saw more than that. Not only was Christ in every one of them, living in them, dying in them, rejoicing in them, sorrowing in them, but because he was in them and because they were here, the whole world was here too. Here, in this underground train, not only the world as it was at that moment, not only all the people in all of the countries of the world, but all those people who had lived in the past and all those yet to come. I came out onto the street and walked for a long time in the crowds. It was the same here, on every side, in every passerby, everywhere. Christ. I had long been haunted by the Russian conception of the humiliated Christ, the lame Christ, limping through Russia, begging his bread, the Christ who, all through the ages, might return to the earth and come even to sinners to win their compassion by his need. Now, in a flash of a second, I knew that this dream is a fact, not a dream, not the fantasy or legend of a devout people, not the prerogative of the Russians, but Christ in man. I saw too the reverence of everyone, that what they must have for a sinner, instead of condoning his sin, which is in reality his utmost sorrow, one must comfort Christ who is suffering in him. And this reverence must be paid even to those sinners whose souls seem to be so dead, because it is Christ who is the life of the soul, who is dead in them. They are his tombs, and Christ in the tomb is potentially the risen Christ. Christ is everywhere. In him, every kind of life has a meaning and has an influence on every other kind of life. It is not a foolish sinner like myself running about the world with reprobates and feeling magnanimous who comes closest to them and brings them healing. It is the contemplative in her cell who has never yet set eyes on them, but in whom Christ fasts and prays for them. Or it may be a chairwoman in whom Christ makes himself a servant again, or a king whose crown of gold hides a crown of thorns. Realization of our oneness in Christ is the only cure for human loneliness. For me, too, it is the only ultimate meaning of life, the only thing that gives life meaning and purpose. After a few days, the vision faded, People looked the same again, and there was no longer that same shock of insight for me each time I was face to face with another human being. Christ was hidden again, indeed. Through the years to come, I would have to seek for him, and usually I would find him in others, and still more in myself, only through a deliberate and blind act of faith. The beauty of this is, well, just the experience and just the seeing of it. But the beauty of it is that all of us are God within this form. I am what God looks like when pure love is forced through this body and this mind and presents as Swami C on the front end, right? But it is God, pure love, pure wisdom that goes in the back end, gets pushed through the shape-shifting form of egoism and comes out this as a particular. And so what we are seeing in each other everywhere all the time is God, but a God who has confused himself seemingly with the body and the mind, with this story, in this dream. But to recognize him in everybody's face, in everybody's eyes, and to know that it is he that suffers when we suffer. We think it is ourselves, but in fact it is the beloved within us who is suffering our suffering, who's living this life, loving our loving, living our living, eating our eating, being our being. It's a beautiful potential, a divine potential, and it's the purpose of your life to find it within yourself as you are.